Italians are some of the most important characters in all of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Without Italians, the series just couldn't have happened. There are so many important Italians in so many of the different parts, and in today's video, we're going to be going over them and why they were so important.
Exactly. Like kind of stated previously, without any Italians, without the Tony Sopranos, okay, there would be no JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Okay, they have a great influence, whether great or small. So we're gonna go in order and talk about basically the importance of the Italians, starting with part one. Okay, we see William Zappelli and his father. Okay, they had an impact on the story. First off, William Zappelli's father, he turned into a vampire, and that allowed William Zappelli to know that vampires exist and that their weakness is the sun. And so William Zappelli went to train, and he came all the way to England, essentially to help Jonathan, and he taught him Haman and gave the last of his Haman and sacrificed his life for Jonathan, who is a JoJo, and basically helped him out through the rest of his Joestar generations.
Without William Zeppeli, I mean, the entire series couldn't have happened because Dio probably would have just conquered the world if he didn't teach Jonathan Hamon. And also Jonathan probably would have died if he didn't give his Hamon to him in his, last breath of life.
Like, imagine Jonathan with no Haman versus Dio. Okay, a zombie may get destroyed, but Jonathan's toast. But the Italian, William Zappelli, was a light in the darkness. And, he even fostered a child of his own, Mario Zappelli, which gave rise to Caesar Zappelli, which is for part two. And if you notice in part two, Joseph was training with an Italian and in the Italian area. See, there is no Jonathan getting stronger without Italy, without Italians too. He even married an Italian. So again, the future generations of JoJo's are sprouted in the main family tree from Italians.
And I mean, Caesar, if you haven't watched the previous, video, I mean, we did talk about how Caesar was a fraud. But he's still a Joe bro. He did do some important things, but I mean, it's mostly like Susie Q. Her and Joseph got married, had Holly, obviously. Like Susie Q, Italian, if her and Joseph didn't, get hooked up, then almost every, Jotaro and Jolene wouldn't be here.
Then Dio would have took over the world. But, in part three, Jotaro and Holly they have Italian in their blood. So that's where the Italians could fit into part three. It's like, look, thanks to the efforts of Susie Q by giving birth to Holly and raising her and whatnot, and like kind of being on the phone for encouragement on like part three, she kind of helped, or was the cause, the first domino into stopping Dio. Okay, because imagine, the little starters for Jotaro start the creation of Jotaro. Holly played a part. So
And I mean, Jotaro,
thank you.
he defeats Dio. He literally saves the entire world. So an Italian saved the entire world.
And then we move on to part four when Jotaro, the quarter Italian, goes to, Japan, in Morio. There we see in Morio, there's another Italian who has excellent cooking ability, who feeds Josuke. And who knows, maybe him feeding Josuke and to the extent Okuyasu helped them out.
It doesn't just have to be helping the main cast. I mean, we don't know what happens after. Like maybe his restaurant becomes like super popular in Morio and he's just, uplifting the Morio society with his restaurant.
And maybe Koichi can take, his girl who's psycho on a date there and it could make her better. It'll make her act up. But anyways, then we move on to part five. Okay. The Italians are everywhere in this part. And Giorno's not even Italian himself. He's an Italian citizen, but like he ain't Italian. We see that Koichi learned Italian through the efforts of Heaven's Door. And the Italians basically, even though they did start that mafia, they did take it down for the benefit of the world.
Almost everybody in part five is Italian. We're not going to go over every little detail with them, but what I do want to bring up, we already said Jotaro is part Italian, and who did he meet and had a part in saving in part 3. Polnareff. Did Polnareff have a huge part in part 5? Yes, he did. He kind of helped the group defeat Diavolo, in a way, technically.
Now, mind you, Polnareff is a Frenchman, but Italians were there to help
Yeah,
all along the way.
if Jotaro, if he like didn't exist, then Polnareff would have never been in part 5. There'd be no Silver Chariot Requiem. Who knows how that whole fight would have gone down if
And
Polnareff was
also
never there.
and also an Italian brought the stand arrows into Italy, which gives stands to the Italians. So influential. Okay. And like as you know, Giorno also has brothers who worked with an Italian. So the Joestar blood and Italians, there seems to be an attractive force between them. And we notice it. We notice it.
Let's get even deeper, okay? Giorno is the son of Dio, but when, Dio got with Giorno's mother, whose body did he have? Jonathan.
Jonathan.
And guess what? Part 1, if William Zeppeli wasn't there, like Dio might have just killed Jonathan in their second meeting and never took his body, right?
Exactly.
So William Zeppeli is the entire reason that Giorno even exists, and he's an Italian.
And to some degree, you're actually quite right. It's crazy if you think about it. But moving on to part 6, Jolene herself is 1/8 Italian. Weather Report, he's Italian. And Pucci himself is Italian. Okay, you got everyone besides Joe, and even Jotaro's in that part. He's part Italian. Everyone with the star birthmark in that part is Italian. Okay, the universe gets reset because of an Italian.
Right?
Okay,
Jolene
just think about it.
Jolene literally, she didn't like directly, she indirectly saved the entire universe, okay, because she helped Emporio.
And guess what stand Emporio had? Weather Report stand. That stand came from an Italian, even though they thought he was like part white, part black. No, but he's Italian. If you didn't know, Pucci's Italian. He's a Sicilian. But the Italians are so influential in part 6. And then hey, you go to part 7. Okay, Gyro and Hot Pants, they're Italian.
Right? I mean, Gyro is, the best Joe Bro in the entire series, probably the most helpful Joe Bro in the entire series. He teaches Johnny about the spin and helps Johnny unlock the golden spin. Like without Gyro, Honey Valentine, he just would have gotten corpse parts and just continued being president of the United States. Nobody could have done
And
anything.
look, he basically indirectly helped Johnny to walk again through the usage of the spin, which is an Italian execution method. Hey, are you noticing a pattern here? The Italians seem to help the JoJo's.
Right? Even Hot Pants fought against Funny Valentine with Diego, and they did almost win. And she also helped out Johnny and Gyro a few times as well.
Exactly. And then we're going to move fast because we're kind of nearing the end. But in part 8, Holly Joestar's part Italian. And in part 9, her sister, Barbara Ann, the child of alternate universe Joseph Joestar and alternate universe Susie Q, had a kid, Barbara Ann. Barbara Ann had 2 kids. Okay. And also, they grew up in like New Jersey. Now, if you didn't know, New Jersey has a lot of Italian influence. Okay, and then they moved to Hawaii, and the potential main villain, Aka Howler, he comes from a tribe of guess who? Italians. So essentially, what we're trying to say is that without Italian, the story of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure would be chaos.
Let's just go over this, okay? Part 1, if there's no Italians, Dio most likely wins. Part 2, if there's no Italians, there's no part 3
Three
or 6, obviously,
or
because
even four.
No Holly, no Jotaro, no Jolene. Part 4, if there's no Italians, guess what? Kira's winning because they don't have Jotaro's time stop. There's literally no part 5 if there's no Italians. Part 6, obviously, no
Dude.
Pucci. Like,
But the world would be in chaos.
so there just be no part 6,
And
right?
in the alternate universe, dude, the United States, dude, that would be a nice country for us because we're Americans. But
But
like,
Johnny would just be like sad and crippled.
yeah, he wouldn't be able to walk. And Diego would have never, got to like first base with Hot Pants. And then part 9, I guess everything would be nice because there's no drug dealers or kind of shady billionaires going on. But the Italians basically help save the world. Okay, that's who they are.
Italians are pretty much just the most important characters in the entire series.
All right, and on that note, guys, we're gonna stop the video right here. Thanks for watching. Comment Italians if you made it this far in the video. Like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.
Peace.